Why is it even important for me to be thinking about optimizing our website for our private practice?
You have invested probably $500,000 to $1 million to start up this practice in dermatology. Think about the time, the energy, the sweat equity that you've put into this business, and you've got zero demand. The cool thing about digital marketing, it isn't a guessing game. There is so much performance data, so many different performance metrics that we can monitor and measure so that we can see what the actual return on investment is for digital marketing. You should have some form of ongoing measurement so that you are assured you're doing as well as you can and you're always continually improving. And it begs the question, where would the practice have been if they were thinking in those terms from day one?
Welcome to DermBiz, where our aim is to create content and build community around successful private practice ownership, specifically in the dermatology space. We're excited to introduce our guest today. He has an expertise over 17 years of marketing experience. He specializes in optimizing private practices' websites. His name is Brent Cavender, and he has personally analyzed over 800 websites. So he's going to walk through some principles on optimizing your website. He's going to go over and look through our website. And I believe that this interview is going to help you in your own private practice. And so I am excited to have him on. Welcome, Brent.
Hey, Tony, how you doing today?
I am doing excellent. Brent, where does this interview find you today?
Well, I'm in Santa Barbara. The ocean fog is just starting to lift at the end of the day, and we've got some beautiful sunny skies.
Oh man, I'm jealous. Santa Barbara, beautiful, beautiful. So
Mhm.
I'm excited. Let's hop right into it. And so, as a private practice owner, I'm sure our viewers could probably relate to this. Brent, I am inundated with people trying to sell me stuff on LinkedIn, in my inbox. Sometimes they find a way to get my phone number. They're always trying to sell me stuff. They're promising me the moon that if I buy their package or do their thing, that it's going to be so beneficial for our private practices. And so I
Mhm.
guess the question I have for you to really get started is, why is it even important for me to be thinking about optimizing our personal website for our private practice?
Yeah, and that's exactly the right first question to be asking about this topic. Uh, Look, you've been in business. I'm gonna say it's been about 10 years, 5 years to 10 years as a private
7 years.
practice. 7 years. Okay, so that's
Mhm.
about right. 7 years. You probably invested somewhere around $250,000 in equipment. Probably add another 100, 200, 300 in facilities. You've trained up personnel, gone through the whole hiring process. You have invested just probably $500,000 to $1 million to start up this practice in dermatology, Lilly Dermatology. Am I somewhere in the ballpark?
That's about right. That's about right.
Okay, so forget about the money you've invested. Think about the time, the energy, the sweat, the sweat equity that you've put into this business. Um, Imagine you put all of that effort into a business and you've got zero demand. So you've set up the entire facility, all the people, all the equipment, but there's nobody that shows up in order to purchase services from you that then, reimburse your cost for that equipment and hopefully give you some return on your investment in the business. Well, the cool thing about digital marketing, of which the website is really kind of the hub of digital marketing, the cool thing about it is it isn't a guessing game. There is so much performance data, metrics, Google Analytics, so many different performance metrics that we can monitor and measure so that we can see what the actual return on investment is for digital marketing, for optimizing your website for search engines, for optimizing your website for conversion, and for having an ongoing way of measuring and monitoring the performance. How many people are visiting the website? How many of those people are converting to actual inquiries in the practice? Of those, how many people are then actually coming into the practice and you're generating services or providing treatments for those patients? So you can really dig down deep when you're refined in your digital marketing so that you know if you're getting the maximum number of people to your website, if you're getting the most people off of your website and into the office, and you really should be, as a third component to that, you should have some form of ongoing measurement so that you are assured you're doing as well as you can and you're always continually improving. Does all that make sense, Tony?
That does make sense. That does make sense.
And it begs the question, wow, where would the practice have been if they were thinking in those terms from day one of the practice
Mm.
opening? But hey, we are where we are, and the best that you can do from here forward is to really focus on maximizing your digital marketing for the maximum return on investment. That will typically turn into SEO, conversion, and again tracking that the performance of the website and other digital marketing channels that you're using. Does that all make sense?
That does make sense.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is one of the reasons why it's important to optimize our website is we're going to get data and we're going to be able to act on that data and actually profit from that data in our private practice.
Not only does optimizing your digital marketing execute on tactics that are proven to be productive. And when I say proven to be productive, hey, it all comes down to getting you new patient inquiries. But it also builds a business discipline within the organization where you're performing something that has, good likelihood of being successful. You're then measuring the results of that, and then you're honing your strategies along the way. So you're always getting a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better with the performance of your digital marketing so that you're receiving the maximum return on the least investment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to take a pause real quick. Let me know at what point you want me to bring up the website view.
I'd say
And
any moment now, that'd be good.
okay, perfect. Okay, so that makes sense, Brent. And I know that we're going to real time do a review of our website that is not optimized. So to all the viewers out there, you're about to get a look at what an unoptimized website looks like. So bear with us. Brandon's going to handle me with kid gloves today. He's going to go over and show us. He's going to show us what not to do, or just some areas to improve upon. And so let's pull this up here.
And the way I like to say it, Tony, is what are you doing that's working? What are you doing that's not working? And what are you missing? Right? Or,
Absolutely.
or as we'll say in our document here, what are you doing that's positive? The good, what are you doing that's negative? And if you see me putting multiple X's and things in yellow, I'm basically saying, hey, that's really a big opportunity. You should really be focusing on that. So we have done.
Real quickly, one last question, one last thing to drill out on the why. What kind of return when we talk about the why of why we're doing this?
Yeah.
What, I don't know if the question is what is the return that we're missing out on,
Mm-hmm.
or what is the return that we could be getting if our website was optimized. Like if we're talking about putting marketing dollars out,
Mm-hmm.
what does an optimized website return for those dollars that we put out? Because as private practice owners, we need to make sure that any money that we're putting forth, there is a return for that money.
Absolutely. So you're asking the question very effectively. They're assuming that you're doing the right things in the right sequence and at the right aggressive level for your practice and your market. I mean, remember, your practice is not in Chicago, not in New York City, not in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
It's in a more rural area, but you have multiple offices in that rural area. So you have a unique DNA to your
Right.
practice that will be
Right.
different from every other practice. So if I can suggest, one of the very first things that you want to make sure to be focused on is to not be working with vendors that are outside our industry segment and don't understand the nuances of the dermatology field. They don't understand the nuances of websites in the dermatology field. So that's a concern. But you also don't want to work with somebody that's just offering cookie cutter solutions. So you want to,
Mhm.
really be talking to groups that can kind of custom design your website project as well as your promotional tactics in order to address your concerns as in your market, and as you are individually, with how aggressive you might be, what your aspirations are. Do you want to
Mhm.
retire in 10 years? Really what you're trying to do with your organization. So having said that, we look at websites, and I've done this about 800 times in the last 16,
Mm.
17 years. I look at
Wow.
the aesthetics, I look at the content, I look at the SEO, search engine optimization. We absolutely want to look at the conversion, because you could get everybody to your website, and if they don't take further steps to reach out to you and they become patients in office, who cares how great your online visitation was? We really
Mhm.
have to think about this as the patient's journey. The patient's journey from curiosity through consideration to commitment in your
Mhm.
practice. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
So consider at the curiosity phase, they have an awareness of an interest in maybe a better complexion skin, or maybe tightening their muscles,
Mhm.
or whatever other cosmetic or even medical services they might have interest in. But they have some awareness that they have a concern and they'd like to do something about that. Then they hopefully find you through search engine optimization, because they'll put in some keywords like Botox in Upper Michigan. Maybe they'll put in laser hair removal in Upper Michigan, or maybe they even say Upper Michigan laser hair removal. The truth of it is, we don't know exactly what terms they're using for their search, but there are these keyword research tools, Tony, and the keyword research tools will tell us the past history over the last year or two of what had the most searches for keywords. So if it is Botox Upper Michigan, or if it's Upper Michigan Botox, we'll try lots of different variations. And when we get the ones that have the most search traffic historically, and they have the an amount of competition, amongst other practices that are vying for those words, we'll use those. We have a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary keyword that we'll put into every page for the search engine optimization. So rather than jumping right into looking at your website, is it okay if we take a look at a couple of good examples first?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so let's jump over to how about we'll go to this one? Lots of fun, lots of engagement. Notice how you've got a productive and well organized drop down menu, but you also are telling a story. Here's who we are, and here's what we do. Here are some additional questions that are answered in our website. And then we want to show you the results of our work in our photo gallery. Now we have hopefully earned the right to ask you to reach out to us.
So the question I have for you is, does your website educate with compelling, unique content and engaging graphics? You can probably see it on my face that I'm thinking like, oh crap, our website sucks. As he talks more, I'm seeing exactly what our website is lacking.
It always bothers me when I go into a website and before you even get anywhere, they're giving you pop-ups and they're asking for your business, but they haven't educated, they haven't informed, they haven't engaged you, they certainly haven't inspired you to take action and reach out to them. So we're trying to do it in the right order, in the right way, with education in these websites. And let's just say we go to a page. Botox is an excellent page because there's so much search traffic around Botox anywhere in the country. Notice how right into the very first paragraph here, we see a quick contact form that can come up if the patient asks for it. They can also, let's say maybe they're on a mobile phone and they don't want to fill out some form. So what they can do is they can actually click this phone here and it'll start dialing the practice. And so we really want to make sure that we're, being sensitive, and we're really asking the question multiple times in multiple ways. In this case, book an appointment, request a consultation online, contact us. We're asking a couple different ways, but notice, Tony, how much unique content is here. Now, I'm going to show you a parlor trick. We can take a snippet of content here, copy, and I can go to an open tab. I can paste that within quotation marks. And what do I find out? I find out that there's one website in the world with that unique phrase with the words in the same sequence that they were on that page. One website in the world. That tells me that is unique content, but more importantly, that tells us that Google is going to value that content. Not only are they going to value it for its quality of being unique, they're going to value it for its having enough of it. They're going to value it for having roadmaps telling you where you're going on the page. They're going to value it because it's got these graphical illustrations that provide some stickiness through education with patients. So as you can see, we're kind of doing a few things here with really well crafted content, Tony. We're able to not only attract more people by having higher ranking in search engines. The search engines read the content, they evaluate how it is compared to other competitors of yours in your marketplace, but we're able to also move more people off of the website and into the practice. And that's what it's all about. If we have a beautiful website and we don't get anybody to come into your practice, then who cares? Or we could have all of this content, but we don't optimize it. We could have a beautiful, beautiful design, but if we don't do search engine optimization so that you get found in a high ranking for the right search keywords, then again, it's game over. You've got to get people to find you online, and then you've got to move them from online visitors to in-office consults. Now that's a lot. Does all that make sense? What do you think so far?
That does make sense. That does make sense.
Okay. Now I've been scrolling on this page for a minute or two now as we've been just talking about it. Why are we creating so much content for this one term Botox? We're doing it because there are that many people searching for that one procedure or treatment, in this case, a branded name, Botox. There are enough to justify it has a sufficient return on the investment for the copywriting that is required to make that happen.
So
Now,
my question is, because our website doesn't look anything like that. So what is the consequences of not having sufficient, or I don't know what sufficient is, but having a lot of text on something like Botox?
yeah, we'll just say it for having, let's call it, sufficient or proper optimization from an SEO perspective. There's really two consequences to that. One, you are not getting enough people to your website because you're not ranking high enough in search engines. So that's one. For the right,
So more text causes you to rank higher.
more text is a proof statement to search engines that you got the goods. You are an expert on that one topic, and you are an organization that they can trust to send people to, so that their searchers, the search engine's searchers, have a better experience.
So what Brent is saying is you want to define the products and services that you want your practice to be known for. It may not be Botox. After you define that, you want to optimize your website around those products and services. Here, Brent makes a key point that I didn't know until I talked with Brent.
Now, if a search engine keeps proving itself over and over and over in all the billions of searches that it has, probably, per week or per day anymore, all of the billions of searches that are going on in a search engine, if they can continuously prove that they send people to the best pages of the best websites for the best answers to the question that is the query, then you'll just keep using that search engine. And what will really happen, Tony, and this is where it really gets down to the rubber hitting the road. They'll have more eyeballs on their advertising that are on those search engine result pages, right? You'll know that as pay-per-click advertising, but that is how a search engine generates revenue generally. They'll do it by having advertising on the search engine result page, and you, as a searcher, you have the ability to either pursue the content that organically proved it was it was optimum for answering your question, whatever your keyword search query was, or you might go to one of the paid advertisements that you see on that same search engine result page. And of course, at that point, when there's a click on to that advertisement, then some money goes into the search engine's coffers. Make sense?
It does. Yep, that makes sense.
Now, something in something you were asking there that I want to really point out. One of the ways that you prove to search engines that you got the goods, that you're the most worthy provider of information about a topic, whatever the keyword search query was, is you have the right, not only do you have enough content, but you have the right architecture of content. So let me explain a little bit.
Yeah. What do you mean by architecture of content?
Yeah. So it's actually pretty simple. If I was a search engine and I had one website that had Botox, Xeomin, Daxify, Dysport, all on the same page, then that would tell me, by way of Google algorithms, if I'm Google or whatever other search engine, my algorithms would tell me that that page is not focused on the one thing that the person was asking about.
Here, Brent is making a key point that each service that you want to highlight should have its own page inside of your website. This makes it easier to find when your prospective patient is searching online. However, this website that Brent is using as an example combines services on the same page. So now I'm a bit confused. Like, why are you saying that we need to separate the services, but you're combining services in this particular example?
So you'll notice in this example here, Botox is out on its own page. Now you're going to ask next, why would you put Dysport and Xeomin together? Well, because we have to make budgetary recommendations on your behalf. And by looking at the keyword search traffic, we can see that these particular neurotoxins don't have sufficient search volume to justify their own page of content. Okay. Every time we write a page of content, that costs our clients money. So we have to help them to make the right decisions of where to invest that digital marketing money. And in this case, you got to have, for example, Botox. They were the first. They're the biggest. That's the name people ask for. You got to have their own page. And then it just turns out that this particular practice, they either love Daxify or they or the Daxify has enough search traffic in their area to justify its own page. Does that all make sense?
So what you're saying is it may be different based upon, so your budget may change how your website looks, and what the local search terms are in that area may impact like how your website is going to look.
100%. You said it beautifely.
Brent, and no one ever told me any of this. I never knew any of this.
And it's different for every territory. So we've been doing this for 13 years as MetaMed Marketing. I've been doing this for 16 years in the industry segment. the keyword research has to be done for every unique new practice because
Mm,
that territory is different. And there's the shifting around of what people are actually searching for in that area, and it's always going to be a little bit different. But to be fair, I can tell you from doing this for so long, Botox is always going to be probably your number one in a dermatological practice. The only things coming close are going to be skin cancer, Mohs surgery, acne. Um, there'll be good search volume for laser hair removal, good search volume for IPL, intense pulse light, but Botox is typically going to be your number one. But within that, there's gonna be movement based on the territory. And there's also gonna be, like you said it really well, Tony. Your budget also affects this.
hmm
Are you in like Chicago? Are you in LA or New York City? You're gonna have to have a bigger budget in those areas in order to
mm,
compete with some of the other large practices that have big budgets on their own. This is a kind of a silly visual, but think about it in these terms. You're in a river and you're treading water with a flowing current. That flowing current is really your competitors, and so if you want to stay ahead of your competitors, you got to swim against that current. You got to put some effort in to like keep moving forward. Now, if you're in a really tough marketplace, there's a lot more current there. You gotta swim harder. But if you don't do anything, you're going to get swept away by your local competition.
mm. And by swept away, you mean you're going to get lost online for people who are searching for the services that you offer based upon the words that they're searching in Google or wherever they're searching search engine they're using.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Your
Okay.
competitors they're trying to eat your lunch, you're trying to eat their lunch, right? And
hmm
they're going to, if they get super aggressive and they have lots of good, well written content, properly architected in their website, what they're going to do is they're going to start getting higher search ranking. It takes time, but they will steadily get more and more search ranking over your position,
hmm
and you'll start seeing less and less traffic to your website, less and less opportunity to convert. Now, I want to go back to a point we made earlier, though. It isn't just about getting lots of people to your website. It is also about that informing them, educating them, exchanging with them, and getting them to engage. But ultimately, you've got to inspire them to take that next step, you're going to do yourself a lot of favor if you we'll go to another website. You really should ask for the consult. You should offer up a phone number both up top, there it is there, and throughout the content, and then give people other off ramps. There's a static quick contact form. There's a request a consultation, book online. So there's a couple different ways you can do this, right? But you should ask several times. You tell your children, if you want something, you got to ask for it, and so you've got to do
hmm
that in your website. Or maybe they're not ready today for any kind of a treatment, but they're interested in your practice and are thinking about something that maybe 3 or 6 months down the line they might. So you give them another off ramp, you give them another choice. In this case, they could subscribe to your newsletter and get updates, or you could have an ebook that you offer to them. So there's lots of other exit ramps that you can provide to them. But ultimately, you've always got to be asking people to reach out to you, questions, book a consult, contact us, something like that. Make sense?
That does make sense. And I know we're at, Leica will edit this out. We're at like 26 minutes right now.
Mhm.
If you could, I know you kind of went over the why of why optimizing your website.
Mhm.
I would love for you to expound on that in a way, and this is going to not be in the podcast. This we edit it out, what I'm saying right
Sure,
now.
no problem.
But I would love for you to maybe give me like a one or two liner on the why with some numbers in it. This will probably be something that we're going to pull out. That will be like a teaser as they get into the video. But like if you optimize your website, you can expect to get
Yes,
X, Y, Z.
yes. Okay. You want me to jump in, or you want to ask the question?
Yeah, I'll ask the question. So if if I were to optimize my website, what is the word? What can I expect to get? What kind of return can I expect to get from that?
Yeah, and that's really, the goal that we're striving towards. Look, we are tracking the data on all of our clients. We're looking at the number of the number of website visitors. We're looking at the number of inquiries. We're even, getting drilling down on the data so much, Tony, that we know where people are coming and how long they're staying, where they're staying, right? But at the end of the day, because we've got this level of data, we're able to determine that a dermatological practice that is that has optimized their digital marketing effectively, they can expect to make about 15 to 1 return on investment through their efforts.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's easily justified. Now, to be fair, I'm telling you the top level numbers because I don't know what your margins are. Right? If I was to just take a guess that your margins are maybe 50%, okay, I'm just guessing.
Mhm.
That's still 7.5 to 1 return on investment.
So this 15 to 1 return on investment sounds really good. But like all claims I hear from consultants, I have a combination of excitement and skepticism.
And so, yeah, I mean, there's a very significant return on investment for doing this. If you were in the plastic surgery field, it would pop up to more like 20 to 1, even 25 or more to 1 when you're in
Mm,
the right kind of marketplace and your competition isn't too great. So it is easily justified to do effective search engine optimization, conversion, and to have some means of measuring and monitoring your performance. But I would say this, Tony, don't consider this something that, oh, I could just, if I did it halfway, I would get half that return on investment. No, it doesn't work like that. And you know why it doesn't work like that? Because when's the last time you went out to the 6th page of Google's search engine results in order to find some product or service?
probably never.
Probably never. Exactly. So if you don't find it typically on the first page, maybe like 5% of the time, the data will show that you might go out to the second page. Maybe you'll go to the second page. But we could legitimately argue that being on the second or third page is much better than being on the 6th or 7th page, right?
Right.
It might be objectively better, and it's especially better if you're, on a trajectory towards page number 1, top of that page. That's all good, but it has really zero value. So this is a game of, within every marketplace for a dermatology practice, a plastic surgery practice, other practices with this elective healthcare market, within any of those types of markets in elective healthcare practices, you either show up, you do what you need to do, you invest sufficient money with good providers so that you're doing the right things in the right sequence at the right aggressiveness rate, and you will be in a small bundle of 1, 2, maximum 3 practices that are really getting a justified return on investment, or your money is kind of really wasted in digital
Mm,
marketing. Now, to be fair, having a what we would call a validation website, there's value in that. Okay,
mhm.
somebody heard about you, they want to know that you're real. They go out and see that you actually exist, et cetera, et cetera. There is some value there, but
That's
there
just
is
kind of like the basics. That's like the basics.
exactly, yeah. And that's when you go to Joe Fabitz that's working out of his dorm room, and he can create a really basic website for as cheap as possible. Okay, so that's
Right.
fine. It At least it validates that you are in business. But what
Mm,
we're interested in is not getting the people to you that know you exist.
mm,
We're interested in getting people to you that have no idea that you exist. The
right.
people they're thinking about a condition, they're thinking about a procedure, they're maybe thinking about a branded name, maybe about a desired result, beautiful complexion, clear skin, or maybe just a discipline like dermatology, dermatologist, plastic surgery, plastic surgeon. So those people that, just anonymously have no idea that you're out there, if
Mhm.
we can get those new patients to you that never knew you existed, that is very valuable to your practice, because once they hit your door and show them superior quality of care, you have a great team in your practice that's making them feel welcome, and then they're thinking about, okay, well, what's the next thing I'll be doing with this? Who of my friends am I going to tell about this practice? So it really is a nice snowball effect that generates a real serious return on investment. But of course, that doesn't go into the measurements that we told you earlier.
Okay, so you've broken down the why.
Okay.
So one of the things you're saying is basically that an optimized website is going to help us help people who don't know about us find us,
Mm-hmm.
and then once it's not only going to help them find us, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
help us convert them into actual patients of ours
In office.
um, in office, in clinic. So would you mind? And I think you've also kind of went over the what kind of what optimizing a website is.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, can we delve into how that works? Like, can you maybe even using our website there? That's unoptimized, by the way. So anybody who's watching, our website is unoptimized currently at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, would you mind maybe walking us through some key things on, and maybe even referring to what some of the optimized websites that you've already pulled up as an example,
Mm-hmm.
but showing us how you would optimize our website.
Yeah, yeah. So before I jump into people's websites, just maybe just do I have permission to speak honestly and openly about?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, yes,
All right.
yes, Britt.
So, as you saw with some of these examples that we were looking at, there are numerous pages, well organized for what category they fit into. Within the pages, there's always a lot of unique content. There's also these calls to action with
Mm,
quick contact forms, or with maybe they're hooked up to some appointment scheduler. So there's some means for people to reach out and actually engage with you and come into office. There's also graphical illustrations. So now let's go back, and I'm going to be tough. Um, as I go down, so as I go across here and I go through your story, it's not bad. It's and I gave you credit over there here for it. Here's who we are. Here's what we do, and then I go into a vertical menu. Um, but then you're bringing testimonials, patient resources definitely fits there, and contact us. Now, I would first of all I would reorganize your navigation. I'd pull that out the shop. I'd pull the testimonials out, or I'd put them right next to the, about the doctor, so that she kind of has almost the proximity effect. If you have the patient testimonials near the doctors, that's great, because they get the kind of the credit for what's going on. But here's the big tell: I've got injectables, I've got fillers, I've got Kybella chemical, I've got everything on one page. So not only do I not, by far, by about a factor of 20 or 30, not have enough content under any one topic, we are sharing all of those services under cosmetics on the same page. So you'll
mm,
recall earlier I mentioned search engines are looking for uh, a page of content that is focused, is dedicated to one
mm,
topic, that was the topic that the keyword searcher was using in order to ask a question. So
mm,
so what they're doing is they're providing a ranking of website pages that are most likely to answer your search question. And
mm,
by putting all of this onto one page, by not having enough content within any one category, you're you're scrambling, you're diluting your message to search engines
Mm,
so that they aren't as likely to send patients your way in keyword search
mm,
ranking positions. In
mm,
addition to that, I do have a book now up here. I do have a contact there, and I do like, by the way, Tony, that you've got this holding as I scroll down the page, right? This menu up here. That's a good
mhm,
feature. I like that, but I don't see you asking, with custom feature blocks that you maybe go. I could go out and see the credentials of the doctor. I could go look at your photo gallery. I could see
mm,
I could actually reach out to the practice and ask a question. I do see another appointment here, but maybe I'm not ready to book appointment. Maybe I'm just
mm.
trying to ask a few questions first, right? So you want to give
Right.
people lots of options.
Support for the DermBiz Show comes from EZDerm. If you're a dermatologist or part of a dermatology practice, you know how critical it is to have tools that make your workflow seamless. EZDerm is revolutionizing dermatology with its intuitive EHR solutions, designed specifically to simplify your practice operations and give you more time to focus on patient care. Their system isn't just easy to use, it's built with dermatologists in mind, making it the perfect choice for practices looking to streamline and grow. Want to learn more? Head over to EZDerm.com to see how they can help you elevate your practice to the next level. And here's a little insider tip. Tell them the DermBiz Show sent you. Also, before we jump back in, here's a quick reminder to make sure you're connected with us on all of our other social media platforms. We share other content on those platforms that's going to help you grow and build your private practice. We believe that we need more doctors in leadership positions in private practice ownership, and we believe that our content is going to help you get to where you need to go. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on all those platforms. All right, thanks for listening, and another big shout out to EZDerm. Now let's get back to the show. So some actionable steps that you can take to improve your website are more text, more links to additional content on each page, and to make sure that this content is separated on individualized pages inside of your website.
Now, some things I do like, just to be fair. I like that I've got your social icons here. You know something? I'd love to see them right up here too, though, right?
Mm,
Be great. Another thing I like that you've got your addresses listed in print. Now, I'm going to kind of explain something. It's going to sound a little silly, Tony, so go ahead and tease me if it does. See how I can move that around, that whole thing, Lily Dermatology, the logo there? I can move the
yeah.
whole thing around. But here I can highlight per character. Now, something that is not nice to say, but it is reality. Search engines don't care. They don't care how good of a doctor, they don't care how great the bedside manner is, they don't care how long you've been in business. What they care about is what they can read. And so the fact that you're
Mm,
putting your address here on every page, that's valuable. You're telling
mhm,
search engines, hey, just reminding you one more time on this new page, this is where we're located, right? So that's a
mm,
very valuable thing. Another thing that you can do, let me show you a little trick here. It's called a regional positioning statement. Now, this regional positioning statement, it's not highlighting, but I assure you it is readable by search engines. This is basically a message. It's a special message to search engines. Hey, search engines, we're not just located in our primary geography, we're located in these peripheral geographies also. And you should know that these are the 20% of our treatments that really are 80% of our patients' interest. So this regional positioning statement is a real, we'll call it a tell, like a poker tell, right? It's a
mhm,
tell when you see websites that have that regional positioning statement. That one's a little bit larger. Let me see if, yeah, that's the correct size. So that one, basically, you can see it's really honing in on what are the peripheral geographies, what are the most important topics. This is a real good
mhm.
tell for search engine optimization. But let's take a look at this website again. You've got quick calls to action. There it is. You've got visual, unique graphics that are even branded. You've got roadmaps explaining where you're going. and you've got content that is well formatted, shows some white space, tells you where you're going. It's substantive, it's original. There's enough of it so that this website, this page is ranking highly for this practice in this geography. And just so you
Mm.
know, we've been working with this client for about 10 years, and this is a redesign that happened about 3 years ago.
Do you notice the difference in our website and the optimized website Brent is using as an example? The optimized website has more text, more graphics, and is easier to navigate, whereas our website just is not.
Which,
Mm.
by the way, you probably want to redesign your website about every 4 or 5 years. Sometimes in really tough markets, even more frequently. Does that make sense?
What's the part? Why do you need to redesign your website? What would be what would be
Because
wrong with having the same good website, the same optimized website? Once it's optimized, why would I
yeah,
need to go back and fix something that's not broken?
yeah, and it just really comes down to standards change, fashions
Mm.
change, right? We're not wearing the same fashions that we would have wore 40 years ago. You're not, and again, remember, you're in a flowing current. Your competitors are redesigning their websites to stay up with the latest fashion, the latest style of websites, the latest
Hmm.
technology that can be in websites. I
Hmm.
literally ran across a feature in a website the other day and I loved it. And I told my team, hey, we need to do this for ourselves. It was basically a QR code to get people to go to our Instagram page and sign up and follow us. So,
Mm.
standards are always changing, features are changing. You want to kind of stay contemporary, and the justification is in, that return on investment that we were talking about. Now,
Okay.
Tony, can I talk to you about the toughest thing that I would say about your website?
At this point in the conversation, I'm feeling like an idiot. I'm thinking, why don't we have before and afters on our website? And you're probably thinking, duh, Tony, everybody knows the importance of these before and afters on the website. But if you're like us and you don't have those before and afters on your website, it's okay. There is hope. By toughest, you mean worse. You're being very polite, but I think you're being very polite, Brent, but that's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. About 80% of your patients are going to tell you that the number one thing that they come to your website for, guess what it is?
Before and afters.
You got it. That's it, man. And yet, I don't see your before and afters in the primary menu navigation. Okay.
Yeah, and all of our before and afters are basically on our social media page.
Which is good. That's good. I'm glad you're doing that. But if you know that 80% of people coming to your website are coming there for your before and afters, why would you not have that in the primary navigation? Why would you not have a full featured photo gallery showing that all of your great work in the practice?
Do you have an example that you could show me on like a excellent photo gallery? And by
I
the way, the only reason why I know the answer to that question is because you already told me that answer a little bit ago. So I was cheating a little bit because if I knew that, I would have been something I was working on. But you told me that a week or two ago, and so that's why I know the answer to that. But I would love to see an example of like what my photo gallery should look like.
Okay, so I'm going to brag on one of our clients, Dr. Burnett. This practice really is special to us. The Burnetts, we started working with them about 7, 8 years ago, maybe even more. They were thinking about things completely different, and they just decided at one point we're going to make this paradigm shift, and we're going to start really emphasizing our digital marketing and our website. And I can tell you that Dr. Burnett literally came and visited me out here in Santa Barbara. He and his wife, and they basically told me this was the best thing we had ever done for our practice. It changed our business in a positive way, obviously. But if you look at them, they do have this.
Well, hold on before you go any further. I hate to, but that
No,
was just too good to not follow, double tap on. How did they explain that it changed their business by optimizing their website?
Yeah, so they were following a formula prior to working with us where they were focusing on the price of the website design and the website optimization instead of doing everything to the best of its ability, right? And we said this earlier. There's only going to be a few winners in any marketplace.
Mm,
Well, they were following that formula. Well, if I invest a third of what I should invest or a half of what I should invest, then we'll get a half or a third of what the return on investment is. But there's no such thing as half of an impression. There's no such thing as
mm,
half of a click. There's no
mm.
such thing as half of a consult inquiry from a patient. There's a chain of events in the patient's journey that occur, and you have to get that patient from each link of the chain to the next link of the chain, and then to the next link of the chain, because it's too easy for them to just bounce over to your competitor. And I'll go back to the river, who is they're swimming aggressively marketing themselves, and they're hitting on every single point that they can in order to convince the patient that they're the best provider for them. So
So
they have.
you're basically saying that this is very much like a winner take all type of situation in
It is.
individual markets.
It is. And 13 years ago, when we first started the business, I wrote a blog called It's a Digital World. It's a one or it's a zero. You either
Mm,
get the patient to then go to your website. And then from there, you either get them to reach out to your practice. And there, from there forward, okay, you either called the patient back or you didn't. And you either convinced them to come in and schedule an appointment or you didn't, and you gave them a reminder and they came in or they didn't. So on every single one of those links in the chain of events of the patient's journey, from curiosity through consideration to commitment, you have to be successful at every single one of those links. And that is why you either do what you need to do, and you get the sufficient number of patient inquiries to have a good return on investment for your digital marketing, or you get nothing. You get zero.
mm,
So it's all or nothing, as you said. Now,
mm.
I took a lot more words to say it than you, Tony, but that's essentially what's going on.
Is
Mhm.
what are some of the key things that a person who is looking to optimize their website, um, what are the key questions that they would need to ask to vet any potential companies who they will be working for? How are they going to know that the person they're working for, what are they looking for in somebody who they will work with to help them optimize their website?
Okay, and just so you know, we did write a paper about that. There's 10 criteria. I'll hit on like the top three or four. Okay.
So yeah, so I know we're looking at the photo galleries. You showed me kind of what mine shouldn't look like,
Mm-hmm.
or not say shouldn't. I don't even have it on
Mm-hmm.
our website at least.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what? Let's take a look at Dr. Burnett's. What should our photo gallery look like?
Yes. So the photo gallery, you almost have to start with the philosophy of photo gallery, the business discipline of a photo gallery. No longer do I want you to think of your photo gallery as just pretty pictures. I want you
Mm,
to think about the photo gallery as an SEO tool, as a conversion tool, as a usability tool. So based on all of the conversation we've already had about putting content on its own pages, providing keywords in unique content, having calls to action, um, a great photo gallery will be doing all of these things. So a bad photo gallery puts all the photos of the entire practice across all of the different procedures on one page. Doesn't have any
mm,
copy, so that search engines could read what's going on. It doesn't tell a
mm,
story so that patients can make a connection with other patients and thereby
mhm,
make a connection to the practice. So a properly architected photo gallery in an optimized website, Tony, is going to do all those things. It's going to
mm,
provide you the ability to, if you're a potential patient, you're going to be able to move through. And I'm going to bring this down a little bit so we can kind of look at it more easily. It's going to give you the ability to look at any one of the patients in a particular field, right?
Mm.
It's going to give you the ability to maximize images. It's going to give you the ability to save your favorite cases and send them to the practice so that they, kind of know what you're looking for. It has some real stickiness to it, right? You'll come back and keep looking for more cases. It will give you multiple perspectives. In this case, this photo gallery, you can have as many perspectives as you want. You can have as many patients as you want. You can have as many menu titles as you want. But ultimately, what I want you to do is I want you to have individual patients on individual pages with unique stories that
Mm.
happen to, wink, wink, contain keywords.
So does your website's photo gallery meet Brent's criteria? Do you have individual patients on individual pages connected with unique stories that are embedded with keyword searches? If so, you have an optimized photo gallery. You're way ahead of us.
So, what we've done for Dr. Burnett, and he's really done his part of this, we've provided him a platform with a back end where he can go in and load up as many patients as he wants. He can, use different perspectives for each patient. He's done his part, same background, same lighting, same expression on their face, same orientation from the camera, same distance from he's done his part, but he's
Mhm.
also done his part by writing these unique stories that happen to contain keywords relevant to that one procedure. And in this case, he's even created a link that goes back to the procedure page. So remember I said earlier, we want your photo gallery to be in your top menu level of your website. We want you to put your individual patients on individual pages. We want you to write unique, optimized stories that contain the keywords. We want you to have user friendly features like saving cases, like moving between patients. I guarantee you, anybody interested in a particular procedure, they're going to look at every single one of your cases in that particular procedure. But
Mm.
ultimately, it all gets back to you've still got to ask for the consult. And so,
Mhm.
we made it easier here in a call to action in a customized feature block. And again,
Mm.
it's got to do all of this while you're on a mobile phone, right?
Mm.
Make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Photo gallery, Tony, the number one thing a practice can do in order to
Mm.
help themselves in their own practice with their own digital marketing.
Photo gallery, number one.
Yep.
So Brent said it again. It's all about the photo gallery. If you don't get anything else from this episode, pretty please make sure you have optimized your photo gallery in the criteria that Brent walked us through with those specific factors in place. Individualized patient on an individual website, unique story that has keywords, key search terms embedded inside the story.
Yeah, I know we're kind of winding down here, but a couple of other quick points. I'd like to see a CV of Dr. Mercy,
Mhm.
only because search engines will use that as one of about 200 different signals. They'll use that as one of the signals in order to further give you further authority as an organization.
Mhm.
They're trying to send people to the best potential providers, and so they'll use a CV to measure
Mhm.
that. That's one of the little things. I do like that you guys are, you are credentialing the doctor with these, various badges. Um, but yeah, there's lots of opportunities here. You can see that the opportunities are around the content, they're around the optimization, and they're also around the conversion, which are all the things around functionality. And if I can say, the biggest mistake I see, other than practices that they go to a friend or a family member or even a patient that does websites on the side, other than that, the biggest mistake that we see consistently made, Tony, is practices that are too focused on the way a website looks and they're
Mhm.
not thinking about the way the website works.
Mhm.
And where the website works, that's where the money is. That's where the return on investment is. getting high up in rankings, getting people to the website, having them move off the website into the practice, and then continually honing it through monitoring and measuring your performance.
And so everything that you share with us thus far, the having more content on the particular services that we provide, the separating the services out, the
Mm-hmm.
adding photo gallery, all of that is going to help our website actually work better. That's how you get the website to work better, and not just about the aesthetics of the website.
That'll all get it to work better in SEO, and then including some of these tools and tactics of calls to action and quick contact forms, and having just this is one you could just do today. You could put a phone number right here, and
Mm,
how many more patients are you going to get in at the door because they can easily call you from right up top there,
mm,
right?
mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Other questions?
Yeah. So I guess my one key question I have as we're wrapping up is,
Hmm.
if a person is watching this and they're like, okay, I'm sold. I need to figure out a way
Hmm.
to optimize my website. I'm busy running the practice. I'm busy managing the team. I'm busy seeing the patients, treating the patients, doing all of the actual work inside of the practice. And I
Hmm.
know I need to work with somebody to help me optimize my website. Do you have a framework, a process, any just some quick suggestions on what a person should use to vet somebody who is claiming that they can't optimize their website? What are some key things that they need to be looking at, or maybe even some key red flags that would give them information to say maybe this is not the right person?
Yeah, absolutely. So fortunately, serendipitously, um, oh, wow, over 13 years ago, I wrote a paper with another company. It got published in Bariatric Times at the time. Then we got a call back from Allergan who asked us to rewrite it to be for dermatology. That paper is still an excellent guide of tough, rugged criteria that you should be looking for with any potential vendor you're going to talk to. I won't go through all of the 10 criteria, but let me just call out maybe the top three, maybe top four. Okay.
We're going to link some additional information at the bottom of the show notes so you can see the paper that Brent wrote that's going to help you be able to vet other digital marketing companies, and also the blog that he wrote that's going to give you even more detailed information on how to optimize your website, thereby optimizing your private practice. Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, I'd say absolutely you want to work with somebody that they're dedicated in this industry segment. They have expertise in elective healthcare practice marketing. And it's
Mm-hmm.
because of little things like knowing how to lay out knowing how to lay out. Turns out dermatological websites are really hard to lay out. But if they know, the nuances of dermal fillers versus neurotoxins, and then maybe they know under neurotoxins it's good to call that, maybe that category gets called wrinkle relaxers. Okay, just little nuances like that make a big difference in search, but they also make a big difference with patients. And then of course all that stuff we talked about with photo galleries, that's all super critical. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so work with experts in the industry segment.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing up, I would say is you want to. There's a couple of, I'll call them, just we'll have a little bit of colorful fun here. We'll call them BS detectors. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that you talk to, Tony, that doesn't bring up keyword research, doesn't bring up site mapping. Let me show you what a site map is real quick. You can see on your screen, this is a site map for a website that
Mm-hmm.
calls out all of the different main menu terms underneath them. How much content is written per page. What are the names of the individual pages? If they don't bring up site mapping early on, you've got
Mm-hmm.
a pretty good indication that they're not going to be as productive in working a project for you, optimizing your website. The
Mm-hmm.
other BS detector is keyword research. Are they Are they actually going out and finding out where the keyword search volume is? Okay, so you've got work with experts, look out for those BS detectors, ensure that your potential provider has copywriters in house, has experience writing copy. The copy needs to be enough, it needs to be clinically correct, it needs to speak in the voice of the practice, it needs to speak to the audience, and on top of all that, it really needs to be formatted properly so that search engines look at it and go, "Oh, this is well written copy. It's telling me where it's going. It's providing bullets. It's providing headers. This is good copy that I will feel comfortable sending searchers to this content." Okay, and the last thing I would say really kind of hits the bigger concerns that are going to help you to vet potential providers, Tony. You want to work with a provider that is primarily focused on your return on investment. And they're focused on return on investment because they have got some means of measuring and monitoring the
Mm,
performance of the website. How many mobile clicks did I get this month versus last month? How many visitations to the website? What of the visits to the website? How many turned into actual consults in the office? How
mm.
long were people looking at a particular page? Were they only going to our photo gallery, or were they going back to other pages as well? So, measuring and monitoring return on investment, it all falls back to, are you measuring the data, the performance of the website in general, and then you can derive the return on investment out of that. Make sense?
That does make sense.
And those are the big things. Yeah.
And I'm going to make sure that we include in the show notes at the bottom link. We're going to link those 10 points that you use to evaluate a potential company that you use to optimize, and then also the blog article that you wrote that further goes in depth with that. So we'll make sure that we have that for our viewers.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so besides that, I think that we pretty much covered the major points, Brent. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for sharing your expertise today. Thank you for tearing apart our website. You've given us some insight on some things that we need to improve upon. We're definitely going to be working on. I mean, we're going to hop right on that phone, the phone number at the top in that white space. We're going to hop on
Hmm.
that immediately,
Yep.
and the before and after pictures as well. That's a process that we're working on right now as we speak. Last but not least, Brent, where can people find you? Where can people, reach out to you? Maybe potential user services or social media where they can learn more about what you guys are doing. How can they get in contact with you guys?
Well, thanks for asking. I appreciate that. We're out there. We're at metamedmarketing.com. From there, you can go out. We'd love for your audience to start following us on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on any of our social channels. We're putting out quite a bit of effort to make sure and provide education in our social channels. And I know it sounds a little cheesy, Tony, but we really believe that for our practices and for ourselves, if you'll provide vendor neutral education first
Mm,
and really
absolutely,
convey to your audience that you're there to help, then good things are going to follow. We don't have to sell, we just have to educate. And so we'd
absolutely.
love it if you'd come check us out either in our website, and there's an entire page for education there, or you can go to our Instagram, follow us, and you're going to find that there's a ongoing series of educational posts for practices and also for referral partners too.
Awesome, awesome, and that's one thing that I appreciate about you, Brent. I feel like every time I talk to you, I get a little smarter in the area of digital marketing and optimizing our website, and so I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I hope this content has helped you as much as it's helped us. If you're out there watching, we are putting in place some of the tips and suggestions that Brent has given us. Right now, our website is under construction, and so we thank him for giving us the feedback and the information. We wish you continued success in the building of your private practice. We need more successful private practice owners, and we hope that this content has helped you one step further into accomplishing and building the practice of your dreams. Brent, thank you so much for being on the podcast today, and we really appreciate you.
Our pleasure.
So after going through this website review, we made the decision to optimize our website using Brent and his team. It's going to take about 3 months for that to complete. And then after that, it's going to take another month or two for us to actually be able to use the optimized website to see how well it's worked. But we are going to do a follow-up video that's going to address some of the questions that were raised in this video. Did we really get a 15-to-1 return on investment? How much additional traffic did were we able to create with this optimized website? What was the impact on our schedule? What was the impact on our bottom line? We're going to go through all of that in our follow-up recording of this video after our website is optimized. So we hope that seeing our website versus an optimized website was beneficial to you. And we hope that you can take this information and use it in your private practice so you can build the practice of your dreams. And that's a wrap for this episode of the DermBiz Show. We hope you found today's discussion insightful and packed with value to help you navigate the challenges of running your private practice. We'd love to hear from you. Is there a specific topic you'd like us to cover or a question you want answered? Reach out to us at thedermbiz@gmail.com or drop us a message on social media. Your input helps us tailor the show to what matters most to you and your practice. Speaking of social media, don't forget to follow us on all of our platforms for updates, bonus content, and tips to keep your practice running smoothly. And of course, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Thanks for tuning in today, and we can't wait to have you join us again the next time. Until then, take care, keep thriving, and we'll see you the next time on the DermBiz Show.